So it's the day after the solar eclipse. Um, there's weird energies out there. I think people are feeling off and sometimes surprisingly on, and then they get thrown off again. It almost feels like Mercury retrograde or that kind of maybe heightened anxiety feeling. Things are going a little bit sideways, or they're distracted, or they're getting ringing in their ears and buzzing and things like that. So I thought I would just pull out, I don't know, a random reading, see what shows up. There's been a lot of stuff happening for the last week where everything feels like it's just very much in sync, despite the energy feeling chaotic. Everything's been really um, positive at the same time for how things are coming together. And it's almost that the expectation is more of the same, more incongruent, disjointed, lots of effort for minimal results kind of energy. And then something goes right, and you're kind of like, wow, look at that. Something finally went the right way. And, I don't believe in affirmations. If you know me, you know that. I think they're BS. Um, it's just like a fake positivity. So, if you've ever done a session with me, an EFT session, we do things that can stick in your subconscious mind in a way that your critical thinking mind can actually accept them, access them, and accept them. And you can begin to create a new neural pathway by having that curious lack of resistance in that direction of the new thing that you're trying to do, or releasing of an old thing, an old pattern, a negative pattern or trait or behavior. And when we say affirmations that are so far from what our current reality is, which is what it is most of the time, when we just say affirmations, we are faced with resistance, and that creates frustration and anger and a lot of latent feelings, if not even the overt ones. So today, anyway, I don't know, I just wanted to see what was up, what messages came forward. And it's not even like a tarot reading, it's basically an energy reading, as it usually is with me, because the information comes in first, and then I show you a card that's pretty much a pretty picture of whatever it is that I'm saying. So I was using these. Let's see, can we see those? There we go. Spirit Oracle. They're all different. There's always a picture on the front. Sometimes they're vertical and sometimes they're landscape. There's a message on the back. Sometimes there's a short message, sometimes a longer message. There's no rhyme or reason to them. They're just like a random bunch of messages. And I wanted to just see what flew out, as I often do. So the message here on the back is this. I'll read it to you. The picture on the front is magic. It says magic, blessings, transformation, a blessing in disguise is coming your way. Keep an open heart and mind. So that feeling of a blessing in disguise. So there's a deeper lesson there. And that deeper lesson is really about releasing expectations. So when you're trying to manifest stuff, there's that tricky spot between being very specific and being detached, focusing on what it is that you want in such a way that it's loose enough and open enough that the universe can fill in all the gaps with something far more amazing than what it is that you're asking for, and still have you be really happy with it. And not expecting something like a blessing in disguise. And I say this all the time, and I'm going to hammer it into your head again. It's that if the universe is always operating in your favor, and everything you receive is actually a reflection of what it is that you're putting out, So you are in alignment with everything that you are receiving. Or, in other words, everything you're receiving is in direct alignment with the message you're sending out there, the real message, the energetic message, not the 3 minutes a day of your affirmations. So when you receive stuff that you don't like, it's because the belief and the energy behind it is resonating with that. Okay. So a blessing in disguise. So what does that mean? The stuff that you may perceive as a delay or an opportunity not panning out the way you wanted it to, a person leaving you or something not coming together. Those are things that you feel on the surface are maybe negative or unwanted. And what it's saying is that if the universe is actually conspiring in your favor, those are all positive things. And you just might not know what they are at that moment. And so, one of the themes I think that's been coming up in all my readings and classes and everything else that I'm doing, we had the tower a while ago, a couple of weeks back. And that was like this catastrophic thing. And whether it was you yourself having a tower moment or you're trying to stay sane and clear and positive because everybody else around you is having a tower moment, there was a lot of energy of, if you were not having a tower moment, you're trying to help people around you and they just don't want to be helped. They want to complain, they want to wallow, they just don't seem to have the capacity to pull themselves out of the funk that they're in. So we had that. And moving from the tower into where we're going in December, we had this Two of Swords energy. And it was this, I went on a very lengthy talk about that. That Two of Swords energy is the battle between the head and the heart. And I'm going to say something that sounds really clear and easy, except when you have to put it into practice, people don't. So the battle between the head and the heart is where you need to use your mind and your thinking and your intellect and your cognitive abilities for everything that is practical and mundane and logical. Okay, that makes sense. And then you use your heart from here to here. You use this for everything. You use your emotions, your feelings for everything pertaining to your heart. Do not mix them up. The moment you mix them up, everything becomes confusing. When you try to apply your intellect to all the emotional things, you can sit there and make sense of it and rationalize and say, oh, yes, I understand why this thing happened when I was 3 years old and so on and so forth. And that made me da 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 da, da all the way down the line. That's fine. But to actually clear that is not from here up. It is from here. It is in the heart area. We will also insert our heart and our feelings when it comes to things that should be practical, like buying a house, being in a work environment. People's emotions come up all the time. People are getting offended all the time when they should just be sticking to facts. Okay, I could go on and on and on in that realm. So there's this, with the Two of Swords vibe, it's this polarity. It's like, oh, it's the heart. Oh, it's the head. Oh, it's the heart. It's the head. It's this back and forth thing. And there were dualities throughout. We were not focusing in that nice yin and yang fluid circle of yin energy and yang energy, masculine and feminine, whatever. It flows. If you look at that symbol, everybody's seen that symbol, it's this constant state of flow. And it's smooth and it's nice. It's not boom, boom, boom. It's not this pendulum swinging. And that's what we've been programmed for the last, it's decades, but it's increasing. Polarization, dualities, back and forth, black and white, yes, no, on, off, masculine, feminine. There's no bridging of that. So really interestingly, okay, so we have that first card, that first message of the things that you think are not working in your favor are actually working in your favor. So don't fight them. Do not create resistance. Do not say that this is a sign that you're doing something wrong. Say, okay, so that is a step that the universe is taking so that I can eventually get what I want. And that thing that you want, if you keep it vague enough, you can focus on the feelings, the comfort, the happiness, the whatever, and leave those other little details out. The universe will fill it so that you are achieving, acquiring all of those things. So I then used this other deck, which it's made in Italy, and yeah, okay. So it's an interesting deck, although sometimes it's written with not quite all the facts. So strangely enough, so we have this. This is the card. Okay. What do we see here? Twins, duality, two people, two gods, twin gods, twin spirits. And it's a number 19, which in the tarot is the sun. Okay, so it's kind of interesting. They're facing each other, they're intertwined, they look similar but different. 9 and a 1 is a 10, is a 1. Again, okay. A lot of stuff that's been happening. There's been this reset energy. Zeros and ones, zeros and ones, zeros and ones. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so I'm just gonna put that down, and I'm gonna actually read you verbatim here what is in this little book. Okay, so the key word, it says the twin gods, and I don't think gods is a word that would be used, but anyway, we'll just leave that alone for the moment. So it says uncertainty. Okay, so this battle that we go between the dualities creates a lot of uncertainty because it leaves the gigantic space in between. It's like it doesn't exist. We flip from one end to the other. Okay, so I'm done hammering that home. So it says, the twin gods are prevalent throughout Native American mythology. So yeah, just ignore the verbiage here a little bit. Sometimes they are represented as good and evil, fighting each other for supremacy and control. Some myths say that they co-created humans, which is why people have both good and bad qualities. In some traditions, they are not good and evil, but opposites, like day and night, life and death, summer and winter. In these cases, they are rivals rather than enemies. Sometimes they are even partners working together on a task or quest. In this card, the background is design used for ritual divinations, incorporating the directions and the paths of the planets through the heavens. Seeing all that, not the border, but just what's around the top and around their heads there. Okay. So the message is, if a decision seems impossible, wait and watch. The best solution will reveal itself at the last moment. So you're trying to make the decision between the head and the heart. The head comes up with an analysis, the heart comes out with the feelings, and we're battling that feeling or that experience. I won't say feeling. We're battling that experience. In order to clarify that, again, you're going to use the head, the intellect, the mind to solve problems and questions that are dealing with practical matters, nothing to do with heart-focused issues. And then use your heart to answer the questions that are related to things that require emotions. And if you cannot do that, then wait. Do nothing. Let stuff flow. Okay? And I said I was done hammering at home, but maybe I was not quite done. Okay. So the key words are uncertainty, doubts, fluidity, difficult decisions, irrevocable choice, and obstacles. In the time period, because all these cards have a time period in this deck, it says the middle phase of a situation or season. The middle of something. We're approaching midwinter. The solstice is considered midwinter. Okay, so that's that for that. So that was a 1. Then I got in the Muse deck, I got the 2 of inspiration. It's the 2 of wands. And there she is. This looks like a friend of mine. I won't say her name, but anyway, I will tag her. She can see if it looks like her. So there she is sitting in this little portal, okay, peering out quite comfortably. She's got the mega telescope there. She's not even using it. She's looking with her own eyes at what is way over on the horizon. It seems like over there is something right behind her. This is open. It's like the pre-step to doing something. It's like the pre-planning step. It's like, I'm going to make a plan to make a plan. And that's where you're still sitting in that indecision. And then we have the 4 of Wands. And we had this come up in the monthly forecast, the Astro Tarot forecast. I'll put the link there as well. This is an amazing card, but it really feels like there is a gap between this and this. And the smarty pants in the group will say, well, that would be the 3 of Wands, because it's the 2 and this is the 4. But it's a little more than that. And yes, you're right. The 3 of Wands is the planning to get to this. But this is like foundations. What this card actually means is you already have all the information that you need. You have the foundation, even though it's sitting there, this chunk of rock floating around in the clouds, you have this. You're just not ready to do this yet. Okay, so that is the little message for today. That's it. So hang in there. If you are battling the head and the heart, take a break. Let it show up, because it could be irrevocable or more difficult to correct later. But try and separate those 2 things. This used for the practical things, going to work, paying your bills, organizing your closet, following a recipe. That's how you function. You can also follow a recipe the other way too. But cleaning a closet, use your head. Driving your car, use your head. Paying your bills, going to work, all that stuff, use your head. For your heart, things about your feelings, your relationships, I would even say, yeah, well, we'll leave it at that. Dealing with people, certainly dealing with love. Logic does not factor into it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you are involved in something that is unhealthy or painful or hurtful, don't stay in it, because your heart is saying that you care or you love somebody. If you are in a situation that is harmful to you, um, please get out of it. And I think your heart would say, if you really listen to it, this is harmful. I I need to seek safety or something like that, just as a scenario. So it's also to really understand where those messages are coming from. What is your gut instinct? What are the things that you feel and sense in your body? And I think most people are out of practice with that. So how to get back into practice with that? And if you can't figure that out yet, the advice is to wait until it becomes more obvious. All right, now that is done. That is the message. Okay.